接下来呢，我们就继续来看一下第三部分。我们首先呢，来看一下22套题的第4题。首先呢，我们也是来审一下材料。那么看一看啊，这个地方解释的一个名词是什么？ When people have devoted time or resources to a certain project, they generally want to see it succeed. However, they may grow so attached to the idea of a successful outcome that even if it starts to look like the project will fail and the disadvantages are outweighing the benefits, they will nevertheless increase their commitment to the project rather than give up. This is known as irrational commitment. 我们可以看到呀，其实这个呢，就是咱们要解释的这样一个名词了。我们一定要在理解的基础上呀，进行总结。The tendency to continue with a project when it would make better sense to quit can be especially strong when people feel that they may be judged by others or their eventual success or failure with the project. 那么当大家觉得别人在评判自己的时候这种感觉会格外的强烈，会坚持下去。那么还是我们审一下题目的要求。我们可以看到题目的要求就是让我们用听力当中听到的 Professor 提到的 example 来解释一下 What is irrational commitment？ 知道了题目的要求之后我们也是一起来先听一下听力。
Listen to part of a lecture from a psychology class.
So, I have a personal example. Some years back, my wife and I were looking for a house to buy. We found this great old house out in the country. But my wife had her doubts about it. She noticed the house wasn't in very good condition. It was a little run down and probably needed some repairs. But I really fell in love with the architecture of the house, the unusual way it was designed and built. So I convinced my wife that we could hire people to fix it up and, make the house nice. We decided to buy it and live there after the repairs were finished. Well, the workers we hired to repair the house soon discovered things were worse than I'd thought. It turned out that the roof was damaged and needed expensive repairs. After the roof was repaired, the workers discovered the house had electrical problems. Most of the wiring was bad and would have to be replaced at a huge cost. Well, at this point, my wife reminded me of her earlier doubts about the house and wondered if we could ever get it in good shape. But I just became more determined than ever. I paid for all the wiring to be replaced by an electrician. But it gets worse. The electrician noticed that insects had eaten into some of the walls, and they would also have to be torn out and replaced. This was going to be more expensive than all the other repairs. But by this point, I felt determined to keep going. I kept thinking, I have to do it. If I stop now, my wife will think I was wrong for not following her advice.
好的，听完听力后呢，我们首先要做的第一步呢，就是利用咱们的阅读材料解释一下 What is irrational commitment? The irrational commitment is a tendency to continue a project, even if the project is more likely to fail than succeed. This tendency can be especially strong when people feel that others are judging the success or failure of their projects. 那么这个整个部分就是咱们从阅读材料中总结出来的。In the professor's personal example, he wanted to buy an old house. 那么这个地方就是 example 了。But his wife said it was in no good condition and didn't want to buy it. He convinced his wife to buy the house and decided to fix the house before they live in. However, the house turned out to have many problems. The professor had to spend huge amount of money to fix the damaged roof and electrical problems. Then his wife reminded him of her earlier doubts, but he became more determined than ever. Even if the problem of the house got worse and took more money to fix, he just kept going because he didn't want his wife to think he was wrong for not following her advice. In other words, he didn't want his wife to judge his success or failure. 你这个地方就总结了一下，为什么这个 professor 会出现这个 irrational commitment？ 那么就是 当自己感受到被别人评判的时候啊，就不希望来改变了，而且想更多的去证明，所以事情就越来越糟了。那么这个就是先解释the definition， 进一步用这样一个例子。那么这个例子一定要在听力的时候一步一步的，每一个细节一定要听明白，记下一些关键词。我们接着来看下一套题的第4题，也是让我们解读一个 reference groups 这样一个现象。Our thinking and behavior are often influenced by other people. When we admire and respect someone, we naturally try to imitate their behavior and attitudes. Groups of people whom we admire and whose behavior and attitudes we tend to imitate are known as reference groups. Reference groups provide a model, a frame of reference that can shape how we think and behave. Over the course of a lifetime, we may be influenced by many different reference groups. As we grow older or encounter new circumstances, our reference groups may change. 也就是说不是固定不变的，随着我们的生活经历也会发生改变。And our attitudes and behavior may change accordingly. 你可以看到reference group 的定义，还有它以后的改变，都在这一段阅读材料中提供出来了。我们也是看到题目的要求就是让我们解释 what is reference groups。那么知道题目的要求在阅读材料总结的基础上，我们先一起来听一下听力。
Now listen to part of a lecture in a sociology class on this topic.
I have an example from my own life that illustrates this. When I first began my university studies, I became friends with a bunch of art students. They were older and fun and very creative, and I thought they were really cool. And they all liked to dress really casually, in t-shirts and jeans and sneakers. That's what they wore all the time, to class, to the library, to dinner, everywhere. T-shirts and jeans and sneakers. So that's what I started wearing too, and I fit right in, and I felt really cool. But then I graduated, moved to Chicago, and got a job. And I started working with some really bright young people who'd already been working at the company for a few years, who were already handling major responsibilities for the company. Really impressive. And sometimes some of us would get together on the weekends, maybe for a concert or a baseball game or something. And at first, I just wear a t-shirt and jeans and sneakers. That was, how I was used to dressing. But I soon noticed that my coworkers preferred to dress up a little bit. The men would wear a nice pair of pants, a button-up shirt. The women might wear a fashionable dress and some nice shoes. They dressed in clothes a lot nicer than what I was used to wearing. And I started thinking, that looks really classy, really sharp. And so I started to dress the same way they did, nicer, a little more formal. And I don't know, somehow my t-shirt and jeans and sneakers didn't seem as cool to me anymore.
那么听力过后呢，我们知道我们的作答呢要从2部分来进行了。首先第一部分呢，我们给出 reference group 的 definition. Reference groups are groups of people we admire. We tend to imitate their behavior and attitudes. The professor uses his own life experience to illustrate this phenomenon. When he entered university, he made friends with art students. The art students always dressed casually. They wore t-shirts, jeans, and sneakers. 那么 sneakers 就是咱们平常爱穿的一些运动鞋、板鞋。The professor thought they were cool, so he also started wearing t-shirts, jeans, and sneakers. 那么就开始模仿他们了。But after graduation, the professor got a job in Chicago. When his co-workers and he gathered for a concert or a baseball game, he found out that they all dressed up a little bit. The man would wear a nice pair of pants and the woman would wear a fashionable dress. And he started to think these people look really classy and sharp and began to wear like them. 那么这个地方就是他的观念的转变了，随着自己的情况转变。So his reference group has changed from the art students to his co-workers. 那么不光影响、模仿表示出来，也表示出这个转变。所以大家在理解这个词义的基础上一定要遵照这个 definition 来帮助你理解咱们这个听译材料中的内容。我们接着来看每一套题的最后一题。Using the example of the mole, explain 2 different types of underground adaptation. 那么通常而言，第6题都是对我们难度较大的，因为咱们有可能有碰见不认识的各种领域的生词。那么而且这个 lecture 一般都是大学中提取出来的一些材料，所以说听起来会有些难度，特别是后几套题，大家会发现真的是难度有点攀升了。那么大家不要担心，一定要沉下心来记一些 keywords。那么他给出的 definition 或者是他给出的原因和变化究竟在哪里？那么一步一步的一定要听清楚。那么好的，我们先来一起听一下听力。
Listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
Many animals live underground in the soil. Not just little animals like worms, but also bigger animals like mammals. Living underground has advantages. It protects animals from above-ground predators. However, the underground environment also presents challenges, and animals that live underground have developed physical adaptations to deal with them. One challenge is, well, simply how to move underground through the dirt. Another challenge for the animal is to protect vulnerable parts of its body from the environment that it's moving through. Now, moving through soil is not like moving through air or water, because soil, earth, is thick and dense. So animals that live underground have evolved physical features that help them move through dirt efficiently. For example, the mole, a small furry mammal, has really wide, super strong front feet with big claws. The mole's feet act like shovels, so it can dig through the dirt. The claws cut into the dirt, loosen it up, and then once the dirt is loosened up, the broad feet throw the dirt behind the mole as it moves forward. These shovel-like front feet allow a mole to dig its way through the dirt astonishingly quickly. But even for an animal that can move efficiently through the dirt, living underground can still be problematic because it's easy for particles to get caught in sensitive parts of the animal's body, like for mammals, in their eyes. So underground animals have developed adaptations to prevent this. Again, let's take the example of the mole. To begin with, moles have tiny eyes, and these eyes are covered with a thin skin, a protective membrane that's actually got hair on it. These hairs protect the mole's eyes from dirt particles. So as the mole goes digging through the dirt with its head pushed forward, the dirt particles come into contact with the hairy membrane covering the mole's tiny eyes, and the particles just slide by, don't get caught in the mole's eyes. So the eyes, the mole's sensitive parts, are protected.
好的，听力听完了，我们发现第6题基本上就是纯靠听了，没有办法自己加工的。咱们可以在理解的基础上用自己的原意来表示出来。The professor talks about 2 physical adaptations of mole for living underground. 那么首先第一种 one adaptation is used to deal with the challenge to move underground. Moles have wide, super strong front feet with big claws that allow moles to dig through the dirt, and so to move through thick, dense soil efficiently. Using the shovel-like front feet, the mole loosens up the soil and throws the dirt behind as it moves forward. 这是第一种。Another adaptation. 那么第二种，大家最好在这里间隔一下，也好给老师一个信息。那么下一个 is used to protect their sensitive parts of body. Moles have developed their hairy membrane on their tiny eyes. The hairy membrane can prevent particles from going into moles' eyes, the most sensitive parts. 那么它的眼睛就是最柔弱的地方。And so when mole is digging through the dirt particles will just slide by its eyes. 你就可以挡过去了。那么这就是上一道题的全部内容了。那么接着来看23套题的第6题。 Using the examples of the Venus flytrap and the sundew, describe 2 ways the carnivorous plants get their nutrients. 那么这两个啊，我一看有点懵。大家看起来也会有很多同学啊，就会不明白这两个词啊究竟是什么意思。那么不要担心啊，一看这个地方，我们就可以理解了。那么食肉的植物，所以这两种啊肯定是食肉植物。那么食肉植物是如何获取养分的？这就是咱们要听的。所以不管啊这两种是什么特点，你知道不知道？知道当然更好，帮助咱们形象记忆了。如果不知道的话，也不要担心啊，找寻一些关键词能理解的地方。知道这样一个题目要求以后啊，我们同样的还是先听听力。那么一定要注意这两种植物的不同，它们是怎样获取 nutrients， 一定要听到这个关键词。然后知道题目的要求以后呀，我们还是一起来先听一下听力。
Listen to part of a lecture in a biology class.
Now, plants, like animals, and like us for that matter, need nutrients, substances that provide nourishment, to survive, thrive, and grow. We get our nutrients from the food we eat. Plants, though, most plants anyway, absorb their nutrients from the soil, right? Through their root systems? Okay. But there are plants that don't get their nutrients from the soil. The places they grow, the soil is bad, so they get their nutrients from insects instead, from trapping and digesting insects. They're called carnivorous plants. Carnivorous plants capture insects in different ways. They have different trapping mechanisms, active traps and passive traps. A plant with an active trap. A good example is the Venus flytrap. The Venus flytrap actually moves to catch its prey, or parts of it do anyway. Its leaves. It has special leaves that are hinged in the middle. The 2 halves of the leaf open and close, sort of like a mouth, to catch insects. And on these leaves is a sweet nectar that attracts insects. Insects like this sweet stuff. And when they get lured in and land on the leaf, wham, the leaf springs shut. It's an active trap. And the insect springs it, so to speak. The leaf quickly closes and forms a little cage, trapping the insect between the leaves. The Venus flytrap is then able to digest the insect and get its nutrients. But other carnivorous plants, their methods are passive. They don't have any moving parts to trap things. They have passive traps, like the sundew plant. The sundew plant also produces a sweet nectar that attracts insects. Its leaves are full of little hairs that secrete the sweet substance. But what happens when insects land on the sundew's leaves to get at the sweet nectar? Well, unfortunately for the insects, the hairs on the leaves also produce a super sticky glue-like substance. So an insect gets stuck in them and can't fly away. It basically gets glued there, allowing the sundew to digest it and absorb nutrients.
听完听力以后呢，我们一起来看一下这一份答案。In the lecture, the professor talks about 2 ways carnivorous plants capture insects. The first way, 那么第一种呢 is active trap. For example, Venus flytrap has some parts that can move to catch the prey. Its leaves are hinged in the middle, and the 2 parts of the leaves look like a mouth. Also, its leaves have sweet nectar on them to attract the insects. When insects are attracted by the nectar and land on the leaves spring shut and form little cages. The Venus flytrap can digest the insects and get nutrients. 那么这个时候呢，这个捕蝇草啊就可以把咱们的昆虫啊消化，然后获取养分，这就是第一种了。那么这个关键词啊一定要体现出来，养分。The second way is passive trap. For example, the sundew plant has no moving part. It also has sweet nectar on its leaves. 那么它不能动，它会怎么样呢？ But its leaves are full of little hairs. When insects land on the leaves, hairs can produce super sticky glue substance. So the insects get stuck on the leaves, and the sundew plant can digest the insects and absorb nutrients. 那么这是第二种啊，获取养分的方法。那么 从这个 lecture 里面我们就听到2种植物获取养分的这样一种方法解释出来即可，其实没有必要再进行总结，如果大家有时间的话可以进行。那么以上呢就是咱们今天讲课的全部内容了，非常感谢大家的观看，我们下次再见。